Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of STS. Today is October the 1st, 2016, and they just wrapped up the 2016 Art of Motion in Santorini, Greece. We are here to try to break down the event for you, make sense of some of the controversy. As always, I am joined with my good friend Tom Coppola. I'm Renee Scavington. I have a cold. My voice is probably not going to last very long today, but we're going to do our best to get through this. All right, so first off, the podium. We have not Joey Adrian in first. Bart van der Linden in first place, Alfred Scott in second place, Joey Adrian taking third, and Lynn Young with best female. Did you agree with those results?
No.
Okay. So who do you, so you don't agree with the results? Who did you feel should have taken first place?
I thought the whole finals round was really unusual. I didn't really like it at all. I wasn't happy with anyone's performance. I mean, well, you know, there some people executed well, some people did some interesting things, but I felt like it was really lackluster. I felt like the heats were actually really exciting this year, but the finals was just kind of almost a dud. It was weird.
Do you think it's like because they get tired?
I think that's a big factor in it, and it's actually really hot there too. So I'm sure there's a lot of factors that are going into it. I don't know why. I don't know. I mean, you would have to ask the athletes, I guess.
Yeah. So just overall, you weren't impressed with like the final.
Yeah, I wasn't.
I think I felt the same way. I think it was. I didn't watch the prelims until after, so I tried to watch. I was able to watch the finals live, and they're calling the whole thing the finals, but really the second round, I guess we'll call it. Second round, I was able to watch that live, so I didn't have anything to compare it to. But then when I went back, well, first of all, I saw what people were saying about it, but then I went back and watched the first round, and it's like, yeah, these were better runs.
Yeah, much more interesting things were done in the heats. I felt like that was a really exciting competition, but then when they did basically their second run, it was just I think everybody was tired. It just like it didn't live up to like what the hype I was feeling, right? Because like I saw some of the people that were going into the event into the finals round, and I was really excited to see what happened, and then it was just like almost like, and it was weird because I had found out that Bart won before I watched the finals, right? So I was like, all right, Bart wins. He's first in the final, so I was like, oh, cool. I get to watch his run first, and then it was just like, oh, that's what won it, and then I was like, okay, what am I going to see next?
Yeah.
You know, and then it was just like, Nate had a really short run, and it felt, you know, that one felt like didn't, you know, he didn't do what I know he's capable of, you know, and. And then all the way down the line, I thought Alfred's run was really cool.
Yeah.
And it was weird.
Definitely way better than last year too. Like, I was super stoked when he did the cast Kong gainer. Yeah. Which didn't win best trick.
Yeah, it was weird. Like that should have been. I think they messed up somewhere along the line, but
I mean, best trick went to Alfred still.
Best trick went to Alfred, but I don't think it was for that.
I feel like that's a move though that a lot of people do not understand. Is that where kip front is in? A lot of people don't understand how hard that move is, and it has. Is there a shorter name for it? I'm still I'm trying to type it up.
Which one?
Like bar cast Kong gainer. Is there a shorter way of describing that move?
You don't have to really say it's a Kong gainer.
True. Yeah. Because you can only. Yeah. Okay. You can only go one way.
Cast gainer. So bar cast gainer.
You can't really cast.
That's what you would refer
under
to
the bar. Okay.
Yeah, and it. Well, it just now I don't know. This just brings me back to like we're talking about names. Yeah. How did you feel about the commentary during the broadcast?
Well, so we have Travis Wong and some British guy I never heard of.
Yeah.
I appreciated some of his commentary, the British guy, because he's obviously an experienced commentator.
Yeah.
And he did he made a good job, I feel like, of letting people know he wasn't a expert. So saying things like when Joey went on, he would say things like he's putting it all together. He has the speed, he has the flow, he has like the bit of parkour movement stuff. and he would comment on speed actually quite frequently. I didn't hear his entire commentary though. He said something funny about Nate, which no one in the audience is going to get because they're too young for it. But he called him Screech. I mean, like you would get that, I would get that, but I feel like a lot of the other that's like a 90s reference.
Oh yeah. Well, the audience for parkour free running is going to be different than for like a sportscast that he's probably been used for. Right?
Someone has to make a Nate and Screech meme now because there is some similarity.
What do you think of Travis?
He whispered through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't. Yeah, I mean, he's knowledgeable. He's knowledgeable. I feel like he has the same kind of low whispered tone throughout the whole thing, and it's kind of funny that they went from Frosty to they seem to be trying to change it up every year. Because the year before it wasn't Jason Paul.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was Jason Paul. Then it was Frosty and commentator, and then it was. And the year that Jason Paul did it, I think Frosty was in MC role, and now this year was Jesse LaFleur, and now they brought Travis Wong back in.
But then Frosty was doing interviews, which was cool. They had him doing that, and I thought he did a great job. We're a little biased with our man Frosty, but I think it was pretty clear that he does a better job commentating.
I wasn't really happy with Travis. I mean, like what I really appreciated was there's some tricks that I just don't have the knowledge of personally because they are rooted in like a tricking background. So he was able to call those out. But then like he was just he would like really unusually describe like tricks instead of saying just like a name. Yeah. He would just like describe them. Yeah, his description of what should have been the best trick too was a little odd because he said, "Oh, he came up and he went to." Almost a Kong. He said almost a Kong gainer. Yeah. It's like no, that is what he did. Well, it's just clear to me where his focus is just generally. It's in the tricking background, but he has the knowledge of the tricks that are thrown. Yeah. But then like when it comes to other tricks, like bar tricks, for instance, he's just like totally. Out of his realm. Just talking about this is interesting though because I feel like we're in a funny state of commentators for events because we have a couple events now that are live streamed and hosted in this commentary, and usually you need 2 commentators, sometimes more. And in other events, we're used to hearing similar voices, like in football and hockey, you have like you have your dream team, and they're just the same guys that are always doing it. And we're kind of just bouncing around in the parkour freerunning world, so we don't really. I don't know. Like if I had to ask you like who would be your dream team for commentators. Yeah. Are they still guys that are competing? Like because you got to think about who talks well and then who's also really knowledgeable. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know. I mean, I would probably just include Frosty in there because he's the most experienced. We've had him at our event a number of times, and he's been in other roles in other events as well. So, but yeah, I don't know who you get for a commentator. It's got to be somebody who's interested in it and knowledgeable and actually has the ability to like talk during, especially like the lull periods, right? So, where there's not much going on. Yeah, it's and just know all the facts about and previous like history and be able to be the type of person that would actually do the research, right? To know who did what when, right? So those kind of things are important. Yeah, so we're talking a lot about production. I definitely want to get into jumping into the athletes and results, but also with the production we have this wonderful replay setup that I'm really jealous of that Red Bull has on Red Bull TV. The whole reason kind of I wanted to do this recording today was because of this setup. Because I feel like we could just do this, be in front of a monitor. This is my condo that we're shooting this today. We have no microphones. This is a little bit of a housekeeping note with STS. We're trying to get back into regular scheduled STS programming, but our setup has changed a bit with what we have available. And we're probably going to be back to our regular schedule, more frequent episodes around mid-October. So you probably won't see us for a bit after this episode, but we'll be back to regular schedule soon. Anyways, this setup. So we can go to event breakdown here, and we can go into each heat and
basically watch. So you can actually go through the whole Red Bull program, which is over 2 hours. You could go through it really quickly if you want to skip any of the commentary or stuff like that. So pretty cool. Good job, Red Bull. I'm jealous, but we're gonna use this. So
what were your big moments from Heat 1? I feel like
you want to just do this chronologically, yeah.
Through the heats.
Okay, so who do we got here? We got Jesse Parvo, we got Corey DeMeyers, Sydney Olsen, Dominic Tomaso, Nate Weston, and Kaylin Chan. So I think they got this right with who should go on to the finals. Nate and Kaylin. It's actually funny when you go into Jesse's run. If we just click here, there's this little lightning bolt that says slam. Where's my mouse? There it is. So you can click. I don't know, does it show up in this one? You can click this little lightning bolt, and it takes you to his slam, which is I think where he just messes up. Yeah, what was he going for there?
I don't know. It looked like maybe his hand slipped or something.
So this wasn't the best performance from Jesse. And I feel like that kind of told the story there, as he clearly messed up. Corey, I don't want to go through everyone, but I do want to mention Corey. I sent him a message today, and I told him like it was really cool to see him competing. He's definitely one of he's only 28, but he's definitely one of like the veteran competitors, and I think some people like crossed him out. But I felt like he had a solid run. He does what a lot of the other athletes can't do, which is actually link together a run.
My criticism of Corey was it looked a really repetitive run in a lot of ways. He has some like default moves that he relies on, like a lot of those like hand plant like cartwheel things. But I mean, overall, I thought like he did a pretty good job of putting things together. Like there's some hesitant.
A little stumble on that roll there, and that was kind of the only stumble that really, we'll call it a stumble that really stood out to me. I'm losing my mouse here. This is weird.
I appreciated his run. I feel like he's capable of doing better. Maybe if he's a little bit more in shape. It looked like he definitely was like tired towards the end. Mm-hmm. So I mean, if he has a little bit better aerobic capacity.
But it was just cool to see that he can still compete.
Yeah, for sure.
He can still compete. I don't feel like he put on a bad performance compared to he definitely had a better showing than the guy we just watched, Jesse Parvo, right? Yeah. So that's pretty cool. We gotta watch Sydney because we need to compare for best female. Did you agree with the result for best female?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so over Sydney. So let's watch Sydney's run. I just want you to tell me what did you feel like she's missing basically in her run as we go through it.
Yeah. I like what Sydney's capable of doing. Like she starts off with this gainer full.
Right.
She doesn't land it the cleanest.
Yeah,
but
she has a little hand touch there, but
yeah. That was kind of a janky roll.
Fall. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean she did a pretty decent job of keeping things together, but there's definitely some missing transitional moments.
Yeah.
And there's some weird transition stuff too, like that roll we saw. There was a little slide that she did. But I was stoked on the gainer full. I know she can do it better though, because I've seen it better. And and that was kind of the highlight of her run, if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
It's right off the bat, and then everything else is just kind of okay, cruising down until the end.
Yeah, so we'll kind of compare to Lynn's run later, because I really think it was between the two of them.
Yeah.
Pamela Pamela Force has improved a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she had some good things in her run. She does a hand touch after every single trick, which really bothered me. And she definitely needs to work on that if she still wants to compete at this level.
Yeah. I also felt like she needed more diversity in her run.
Yeah, I love the same moves.
Yeah. I want to talk about Dom.
Okay, so I was gonna go switch to Nate, but he did some big stuff in here.
Yeah. I actually felt like if his run came, like if he landed everything, he would have had a better run.
Absolutely.
He potentially gotten into the finals.
Okay.
Big gainer.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to do something with pausing in here. We're going to start again. Sorry about that. Yeah, so huge gain on start.
Front pre.
Yeah.
Just big drops in general. Puts that nice front flip together.
Off of the stair step is really hard.
And he's like connecting all this together. Mm-hmm. There's a little stumble here, but it's a weird surface. And then front or Webster to roll bomb. Oh man, if he landed that,
it would have been a really sick combo.
Yeah, and then I thought this was like an interesting thing, but ow. Oh, there's like water on there.
Yeah. I mean, it's also because he's trying to he tries to stomp those height drop landings too. And definitely with the floor slipper that doesn't work. I noticed actually a lot of people were slipping on the course.
Yeah.
That was a big problem with the event. Okay, I want to move on to Nate. Who had one of the I think he had second high scoring run in the
World Cup.
Or did Alfred? I think it might have actually been no he wasn't. He was maybe fourth. He might have been fourth because I think DK and Alfred were ahead of him. A lot of people were criticizing Nate going into this, talking about there's not enough bars on the course and things, but Nate's got more than bars.
Yeah, like that.
He definitely has bars, but he's got more than bars.
I don't like how he does things like that, where he'll break up a run by he stops, but he's linking together some really cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's almost like he's doing short combo, and then short combo, and he has struggles putting them together, right? But he did some gnarly stuff.
That was definitely one of the best runs though, and
absolutely.
And as I was saying earlier, I completely agree with the result of this heat. They definitely got this heat right. Age 18, Kaylin Chan.
I mean, to be totally fair, that Nate run was probably one of my favorites in the whole competition. Kaylin's got a really interesting style.
Yeah, he has a lot of creative moves, so it's almost hard to. I'm not even gonna try to call.
Yeah,
just gonna watch a little bit of this, but I like the speed. Yeah. I like the speed that he was able to keep going with this. We've talked about this before with kind of definition of flow being a problem with judging and what is flow, and really speed is a factor of connecting.
I feel this was an excellent run.
Yeah, Nate has a slower style. Nate did some more difficult things, but he has a slower style. Okay, we do not have time to watch everybody. I'm gonna skip Pasha.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm gonna skip Johan too.
I feel
not a good showing for Johan. Johan, he did a lot of. He did this nice transition of what we would probably define as baby moves, just kind of rolling along the ledge, and he's just capable of so much more. He has jumps, he has big moves, and he has actually more of a Pedro style in a lot of ways, and he just chooses them. There was some cool. He did an underbar, a really tough lashing underbar.
Underbar was really.
It was kind of cool. Just I don't know. He needs someone He needs someone planning his runs for him, basically.
Yeah. Because he can do everything.
Let's watch Lynn because this is Lynn's only run, and she did win Best Female.
Mm-hmm.
A little slow here. Throws away the X Dubai hat. It's not going to get in her way.
Yeah, I felt this first line, this descending line, was just so nicely executed. And she does a really good job of making sure she's putting her moves together.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're just talking about speed and the speed differential between her run and Sydney's run.
I feel like that swing cast was probably her highest difficulty move, which is not as high difficulty as Sydney's gainer full, but overall the line was put together more.
Mm-hmm.
And It definitely felt like she was doing parkour free running and not as much like what we're used to seeing, which is a lot of like gymnastics style approach. And that's what I felt like Sydney's run had, even though she applied it in really unique ways and like, not necessarily like groundbreaking, but like definitely she has her own style, right?
Sydney and some other athletes, I feel like, have a style that I like to call just stop and flow. Mm-hmm. So it's like do a couple of moves together, and then stick something and kind of. And some of them embrace it, like Pasha's style.
Do too, right?
Pasha's style loves to like do something like bah, and kind of like play up to
DK. Too.
No one. DK.
How many times did DK stop?
He stops. He winks. He does stuff like
drinks
that.
Red Bull.
It was, and I don't know if this is subtracting from their score or if they're still because we'll have guys like Travis Wong saying, "Oh, like look at DK's flow," and it's like, you mean when he's doing some things and then stopping and walking over to do another thing?
Yeah.
Again, it's not the same style, and I don't really know where we find a common ground to judge it sometimes, because you're gonna have some people embrace like a slower style, not walking, but just moving slower and having moves that you
staying
can't
in the same area.
Yeah,
right? I mean, I feel like that's a lot of what DK did was he would do like wall trick, on the floor, flare, and then like wall trick again. Like he would just stay in the same spot.
We're coming up on him pretty soon. So we have Foskey.
Foskey, I felt like he did a lot of what he did last year, which was stopping on the course. Even though he has like a really flowy style,
his style takes him places.
He just didn't plan his runs well, and I feel.
Pedro. I tried to ask him about this first. I want to figure out if he was actually going to try to cat leap the top, or if he intended to do this. Like, both are cool, but this first jump.
I'm pretty sure he was just going for the bounce back.
Yeah, I think it's too high, but that was really cool. No one's ever done that on the course before.
I felt like it could have been executed better. He like had his feet too low, so he slid out and just like kind of was off balance on his landing. But I thought this was a cool run. I thought his plan was really interesting. It wasn't the best execution.
Some of these camera cuts, they cut like right before he lands. It's kind of silly.
I like how he stuck the precision at the end. That's pretty nice.
That's pretty solid. He definitely deserved to get into the final in this heat.
Bart's
we're going to look at Bart's first run. He did that same move in his final too, which is, that's a hard backflip.
It's a cool start to a run.
And this is kind of, again, like this kind of stop and go style where he's just kind of pause, like, woo, here I am.
That clear precision down to that full is really cool. He's got a powerful style, but like again, it's kind of like stop and go. Yeah,
he's choosing to like stop. I'm gonna pull my pants, be a little bit b-boy style. But he's not the only one doing that. It's like there's a lot of other athletes doing that. And I think it, in part, allows you to do more moves in a run. Because the only athlete that is trying to actually do a whole thing together seems to be Joey Adrian. Actually, that's not true, because we have Nate Weston, who But he doesn't stop and play, though. He doesn't
stop and play, but he will like get. I think he just gets lost, and then he has to go and find.
Yeah, but I think it's unintentional. Whereas this is kind of more of an intentional prepping for another thing, and they'll try to play it off like, oh no, I'm just showing my swag. I'm just stopping and being like, what's up? I'm going on to my next move.
Yeah.
And I just feel like if you're in a judge's seat and you're the flow judge, which by the way was Sergio what is his last name? Sergio Steele, because he has like 4 names. Yeah. Anyway, he was the flow judge. So I don't know what he was looking for flow, because if you look at the style he comes from, he's one of the guys from GUP who they're all about covering distance, and that's kind of their definition of flow. So I wonder if he took that into account in his judging. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah,
the scores aren't open. I was trying to. It would be so cool if they published some of the scores to see how they came across things. Okay, so next heat we have DK, we have Alfred. and Joey all on the same heat. And this was like a really close one because you see the scores here: 403, 402, and 401,
Wow.
which is ridiculous because each judge is scoring out of 100. You have 5 judges.
Yeah. But they also have this like head judge that like takes into account all the factors, and I wonder if that's just playing around with the numbers.
I think so. I think they want to make sure that I think his job is to make sure that the right decision is being made.
Yeah.
Based on.
I don't know if but I mean.
It kind of defeats the purpose of having several judges.
It doesn't really. I mean, like it makes sense because you don't have the judges scoring everything on their own. Instead, they're focusing on just one aspect, which I think is just. I still think it's not a good judging system.
Okay, I want to watch DK first. Let's just watch those 3 guys.
Okay.
Because this was actually the most interesting heat of the whole competition. Is we have DK, Alfred, and Joey, who did their best runs of the competition.
Yeah. In this
and it was just kind of a battle to get into the finals for this one. And I think that kind of tells a little bit of story about what we got for the finals, because you were saying, it was kind of a lackluster final.
Yeah.
And I think they just put it all into this round just to get into the final.
That's what it looks like.
I mean, what did we talk about last year? The finals get you, being into the finals gets you into next year's competition.
Yeah.
So if you don't really care about placing first, you're just going to make sure you get in for next year.
I felt like the start of his run was really weird because
he's playing around.
He was like playing around, and then it was like, oh, all of a sudden he's going to do a con gainer. But like that was really like this is a really cool section here.
Actually, I just want to play that again because I remember just thinking that was quite relentless. That where is it here? Okay. So this section, kind of starting.
Yeah, I think that's just a really cool section, and then the stop.
That's like fun. We're gonna
that's a really cool move.
I'm gonna do a crotch grab and flip my hands up, throw up gang signs. It's just kind of like, what are you doing, man?
Wall trick.
Yeah.
Combo.
He loves that because I've seen him do that in a couple competitions now.
And then move somewhere else. Yeah. Like he's sessioning like each little spot.
Yeah.
Which I think it's actually kind of cool, but it's not a run, right? It's not a line. And I don't know, like, what is the goal of the competition? Is to see this style come out, or do you want to see lines? Do you want to see people putting together like the coolest, hardest stuff, right? It's an interesting thing that's happening in the sport right now, and I think the competition format will dictate how what is valued in. Right now it's leaving it open, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I think Sergio Campos too. Like, I don't imagine him watching this and saying that's good flow. Mm-hmm. Again, because of his style of his particular interpretation of the word.
But maybe he is. Maybe he's seeing these little pockets and thinking it's really nice.
But then compared to Joey, it's like.
But because like somebody has good flow or thinks about good flow, like Foskey, I don't feel like his run had good flow. Like it did in pockets, the same way DK did.
Let's just take a look. Alfred did that same front pre that Dominic did into. Was that a gargoyle?
Yeah, gargoyle.
Yeah, and then he did. Does this nice. He's actually doing some parkour.
Webster.
He plows along. Does Webster swing
cast full into a line like.
And then stops.
This is weird.
Plant. Did he lose odds? He probably lost odds.
But to me, that's where his run ended, and then he's just like, okay, I'm going to do a big trick. Side full pre, right? I felt like that's what it was. Like, and then he's done, and then he just throws in another one just to show you that he's so capable.
And the funny thing is, he basically did the same thing DK did, DK did a lot more moves. The same thing all these other guys are doing is...
Can we rewatch his run?
Because it's short.
Yeah, because it's...
Is from here? Okay.
No, just from...
Okay,
right, so front pre, down to a gargoyle, and then like some parkour into two Websters, swing cast full to basically finish his line.
Yeah.
Right, and then he, and then he's so he was done there. That was his line, and then he's just like, all right, big trick time, right? Side full pre, because he's not going to be able to set that up like easily, right? He has to like be able to like look at it and be okay.
Catch his breath, think about it.
I mean, obviously the bottle flip he missed. Maybe that's why he didn't stick the side flip because he was, wasn't in the right place.
His precision was on.
But I like that. I like that run. It was short. It was cool, and then it was hard, and then he threw in a big trick at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was interesting. Who's next? Joey?
We're gonna watch Joey. We're gonna watch the only. I don't think they're really successfully. And again, Joey's not perfection though, because Joey he definitely has moments where he gets a little bit lost. He definitely has moments where I know he's taking more steps in between movements than he needs to, but in a lot of people's opinion, this is the best run that's ever been done in Art of Motion.
I'm critical of Joey though because I feel like he relies on like really straightforward moves and doesn't think outside of
front, slide down.
Like he doesn't have like the creativity that you see like other athletes do when it comes to like applying moves in certain spots, like Nate Weston or Bart.
Just the speed.
But the speed and the moves that he's doing, they're clearly hard and interesting, and he's putting them together, and he's still going. Like
yeah, he even like under rotated that swing cast a little bit so that he could, Kong up on that little ledge there. It's just such a well thought out run though.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I agree with you in that Joey's. If you can take anything away from Joey, it's that he doesn't have singular moves where you're like, or even singular like little combinations of moves where you're like, wow, no one else is doing that. Mm-hmm. Whereas guys like Nate Weston have unique skills, guys like Alfred have unique skills. If anything, Joey's uniqueness comes from his ability just to put everything together, but he's not really pushing the movement in a way that it's like, oh, this is a structure or a section of structures, and I'm going to do something no one else can do it. It's kind of like you can easily name every move he did.
Yeah.
In that whole run, whereas there's other guys where it's like, oh, wait, hang on, let's watch that again.
Wow,
what was that? That was like a new twist that we haven't seen on this standardized thing.
Oh wow, he did it on that structure.
Right. Yeah.
Like, what comes to mind is like. So like big trick or the big move from NAPC.
Mm-hmm.
Nate Weston did side pre to bounce back double flyaway.
Yeah.
Joey's big trick was
a wall
gainer, which was dope.
Yeah.
It was like, and it was so cleanly
gainer, which is a little bit different, but
it was really cleanly like put together or done. But Nate just took something like basic and then applied two like interesting moves and just applied it in such a. There's two basic moves and just applied it in a really interesting way.
Yeah. That again, you can look at like who else, like it sets him apart. Who else is going to do that move?
And then second place from that competition, Alfred, double flyaway onto a box that was this wide. That was incredible, and it was just like it's a basic big trick, but applied in a really interesting way.
It's like what's the hard move? Well, the hard move was the big move was the double flyaway. But then he did it on this, whereas it's like, okay, Joey did U-gainer, it was gainer, not gainer full, right? It's just
gainer full.
Gainer full, sorry, U-gainer full. But again, it's on the easiest structure, it's on a slanted wall, right? Still like super hard move and everything, but it's missing that basic added difficulty of doing it on a structure where it's like, oh wow, he had to land on this, or he had to do it with that kind of setup.
Or yeah.
It's like basically he did a really hard move in the most ideal setup for it.
Yeah.
Still awesome.
Still awesome. Yeah, still awesome.
Can't believe we're hating on it right now.
I know. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get on to the final here. Bart comes in first, and then you see the scores drop, and it's actually a correct drop of scores because we didn't see runs as fantastic as the first round. Bart goes first, and I actually managed to tune in live before this, and I remember just not even remembering what Bart did.
Yeah.
It was forgettable. It was a clean run as far as like execution. There were no he didn't like biff anything.
He landed everything.
He landed everything.
But I wouldn't call it a clean run.
Yeah, so if we want to be on the same terminology here, it's not clean, but everything was landed. It was, I don't know, can we say it was solid? Can we say, I don't know. But it was pretty, it was a pretty mediocre run, especially compared to what we just watched.
And that run, I don't believe that run would have gotten into the finals.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely not. And based on the scores too, like, and I think they're actually pretty consistent with their scoring, except for with kind of who got in first place, which we'll talk about in a second. Nate goes second. Nate also has kind of a similar run where I was like, oh, that's okay. Well, at least he got into the final. Same thing with I think Kalen tripped up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can watch it. Alfred had he did the he did the cast gainer.
I really liked Alfred's run too before that point.
Yeah, right? I got excited for Alfred's run. I got excited for it, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of just an interesting theme, and we had this conversation with Frosty, I think we all did, after NPC, where he was just talking about audience reaction versus what ends up being on the scorecards, or what the judges go for, and it's something we see in other sports sometimes where the strategist wins but doesn't excite everybody, and then you have an audience reaction where the person does something risky or whatever that gets an audience reaction but they don't win. And I don't know if that's quite what we got here, but basically we got a lot of people clamoring saying Joey Adrian should have won. And I kind of want to break this down, each of the top 3 runs, and kind of look at the format, how it was scored, and try to make some sense of why that score came about, just to kind of put this to rest.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so let's look at Bart first, who was the first run but came in first place, which is also strange because typically when you go first, you're going to be scored the lowest.
So he started off the run basically the same way he started his first one. Big front flip. That was a highlight. Let's look at highlights. We had that first move, which I think is a highlight. The front is a highlight. This is a Webster, a slide, a gate vault. He got lost. This is not a good ascent, Tom. But then
then this is kind of a highlight.
Nice strides to side pre or side flip.
And then that's kind of his signature to do like a kind of 180 turn pre to full, yeah.
And then back flip and vault to cork.
Yeah. So the highlights, we got the back flip over the gap, we have the front flip, we have the strides to side, and we have a pre-full. Which are also all none of those things are elite.
Yeah. But you ask yourself, like, who else can do these moves?
A lot of the competitors.
Exactly, but that's what I mean. Yeah. That's what I mean. That's why I felt like it wasn't that. It was kind of lackluster.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty big draw for that front flip. I mean, again, I just said it's not elite.
Webster, he under-rotated that Webster right out of it, and then he did some weird sliding stuff.
I gotta correct myself real quick. These are elite combinations or movements.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not world class. So again, those strides. I haven't been to the spot. I don't know how big those strides are or how difficult it is. I'd say that's an elite stride line. Wasn't world class. Same with the front flip. Elite front flip down, not world class.
I mean, I when I heard Bart 1, I was excited because I was like, wow, like he must.
I wonder what he did.
Yeah, I'm so because I love Bart's style. I think he has such a cool approach to an environment, but I felt like that didn't really demonstrate his actual style. He did some things that he could do, but I feel like he didn't do anything that set him apart. And maybe it's because he was just being more conservative and he wanted to make sure he didn't like biff it or anything like that, which it clearly worked as a strategy because he won.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I heard Bart 1, I was excited to see it, and then when I saw it, it was like, oh wow, like I had like a lot higher expectations for what I thought it was gonna take place, right?
Okay, I just want to talk about judging before we get into the other ones, because we can kind of just look at Bart's run that we just saw and figure out how they scored it. So for an execution judge, and each category is out of 100, which I think is a problem with the Red Bull format. is that you have all these different categories, and they're each equal.
Yeah.
Right? So we have execution is out of 100. Execution judge was Kai Willis. Creativity out of 100. Creativity judge was Anand Anwar. And then we had Sergio Campos, who I already mentioned, was on flow, and Gabriel Nunez on difficulty. Then we have Marcus Gustafson as the overall impression judge, which is also out of 100. And then you who's the head judge overseeing all this to make sure it's
Paolo.
Yeah. So what's his last name?
I can't remember.
Okay. Cool. So he's Sheer.
Wait. Yeah, I think that's the same.
Okay. So again, we have execution, creativity, flow, difficulty, and overall impression. Each of these categories is out of 100 to give you a total score out of 500. And really, in other sports that are similar to parkour, you would place difficulty as a lot higher compared to like execution, or at least difficulty execution the same. But we have these creativity. I think is just a stupid thing to put into competition because it's such a biased, like how do you interpret creativity? Particularly in a sport like this, is it what moves they're doing, which we already talked about? Is it because we could argue that Joey's use of the course is creative. His ability to say like, this is a perfect spot for this move, and this is a perfect spot for this move, and this is a perfect spot, because that's what he does.
Yeah.
He just like finds like the perfect run. I almost feel like and that's creative. That isn't something where he's like a robot and he's like input move here input. No, it takes creative processing to do that. So
how do you measure?
How do we judge?
How do you measure creativity? Yeah, that's an interesting question to pose.
Execution, we're looking at the cleanliness of each move and how they land it. Flow, I guess just how well they're putting together. It should be how well overall they're putting everything together, not the whole stop and flow thing, but who knows how they're scoring it. So let's try to look at Bart's and see how he kind of came up on this score over the other competitors. We can say that Bart had good flow.
Yeah.
Right? So he probably received a high score out of 100 on flow. Difficulty, nothing world class in there. He has some highlights. And we like to think of the ability to transition as being difficult, but they have a separate category for it. So I think when they're talking about difficulty, they're talking about individual moves. So probably not the highest difficulty score, but not the worst.
Yeah, I mean, he did the big front flip, and that was about as difficult as he got. I mean, maybe that like turn pre to full.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything else is just kind of like lower difficulty moves.
Creativity.
Yeah, not a whole lot there. The striding line was kind of, and the striding line was difficult too.
I think it's been done before though.
For sure, it's something other people can do.
Yeah, or it's like what I mean is like it's been done before. Like if we're talking about creativity, you need to be doing something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Does he get? So creativity probably a low score, but who knows?
Mm-hmm.
And then overall impression, if we're looking at overall, which I think is actually a good score to have in there, a good thing to have in there is overall impression, which is kind of just watching it and.
Well, what did you say? You said it was forgettable.
Yeah, it was forgettable. So, I mean, out of 100, maybe, if we're looking at a world-class competition, maybe 60. I don't know. If I had to put a score on it.
Yeah, I mean, if that.
Not very high. Okay, so let's look at our second place, which is Alfred. Oh, you already started. Did he? No, he didn't. Okay.
Side pre, 360 dive roll, fly away.
And this is just kind of him being lazy.
Yeah.
He could have found...
Casking or...
And he's just like, did it, I'm done.
Get front.
Yeah, so 3 bar moves with no connection in between the moves. So
and then he's done.
He's definitely not... I mean, if we can give him weaknesses at the end. no one took away. No one cleaned up the water there. So definitely needs some crew there. But he has that. His first portion, we can give him a high flow score for that, but not really for the rest of it.
Yeah, I mean, I said before, like, I really liked the first part of his run, but, like, watching it again, I'm like, I mean, it was cool, like, the side prees down into that 360 dive roll, and then that's about it.
Yeah, it's almost like Alfred doesn't have the intention of getting anywhere with his moves, which, again, if you have a long course like this, you need to be good at parkour.
I actually disagree. I felt like his first run had a lot of that, and
Yeah,
this run also had it until we got. I mean, he was like, I need to get to the bars.
I just want to watch.
He did have an intention to get to the bars to do his cascader and kip front.
Yeah, let's just watch again. Side pre. But he's kind of like just this slow with his setup for that jump across.
Yeah.
That's kind of more what I mean. And then just no intention of really getting into the next bar trick quickly.
But also keep in mind how difficult that move is.
And it's just kind of like your run choice. So there we go. He does two.
Yeah, but again,
what was the first bar trick there? Sorry, what was the first bar trick?
Flyaway. Flyaway, and then cast gainer, and then kip front. But I feel like again this was kind of the same as a repeat of last year, but he didn't have to do the cast gainer twice. So I felt like he did some cool moves to get down to the point where he wanted to go, and then he did his hard move.
Yeah, he tried a little harder.
Yeah. But again, I loved his first run. I thought his first run before the finals was awesome, and then that side full pre could have easily gotten big moves.
Right.
Best trick.
Okay, we're gonna move on to Joey. Come on. No, I don't want to watch this. Oh, did I end up? Okay. Ready to go. And less difficulty than his first run there. He sets up.
Handspring still.
Wall back handspring's pretty dope, but more creative than doing. For getting creative points.
Swing cast full here, kind of under rotated.
Yeah, he slid a little bit, and it's tough because I think the floor was really slippery in a lot of parts.
Yeah, but he's
but he keeps it going.
He's still got this nice logically planned line.
Yes, and he finishes this game.
So there's a lot of little stutters he does in between things, and that's another little criticism I have.
But
sometimes it looks like he's like he has a nice plan for what he's gonna do, but he still does the stutter, but he still plays it off really well because of the way he's reacting
still moving
to moves,
forward,
right?
and just compared to the other competitors, you can't really knock him too much on that.
It's true.
It's we're trying to provide some criticism to Joey's game, but you can't really knock him on that too much because I think they're still being like, oh, his flow is really high.
Yeah.
His floor is really high, even though there's like some extra tiny footwork in there.
Yeah.
But he still keeps moving forward. So I finished watching that run. Where are we on the lineup? He's second to last, and I just said, dope, Joey won.
Yeah.
I was watching it live, Joey won, and then I saw his score come up, and it's like, what?
Yeah. He got third. It's kind of, it's weird. Because you look at what Alfred did, and it's like, did he do enough to? I mean, he did a cascader and he did a kip front, one right after the other, but that's not connecting those moves at all. That's just doing the move, jumping up to the bar, and doing the move again. And then what he did before it was, Joey has had much higher number of tricks that he did throughout the whole line, but he was moving all throughout that, and he was doing some relatively high difficulty stuff.
I would prefer to see judging that is very harsh in their categories. So for example, flow, Alfred, 0. Because he stopped any absolute stop in a course. It's like, how are you giving that any score for a flow? for the whole course. Particularly when you're comparing to Joey.
I think they're judging not the whole line as a run. I think they're judging sections. They're like, oh, he had a little bit of flow here, but he didn't have any here, so this is the number he gets.
But then competitors moving into that should know that they can get away with that, because then Joey might try harder things, right? Or other competitors might try harder things rather. Yeah. I think it's his goal to put together. We know it is. It's his goal to put together like a whole run. He thinks it's possible. Yeah. He knows no one else is doing it, so he's going to do it. But then, just in comparison, it should be like Joey, flow 100, and then everyone else down from there. Like right away, just give him 100 because he's the only one. We're looking at the man right now, Corey DeMeyers, who actually did a pretty good job of connecting a line. I feel like for his run too. So I can't say Joey's the only one, but I don't know. Give Joey 100 for flow. Just anytime he hits the course, assuming he doesn't even when he trips up a little bit, he still manages to come out of it, and then scale everyone down from that, right? Yeah. But I don't think that's what happened. Execution, you can knock him some execution on the fact that he didn't make that one trick, the swing cast full. Mm-hmm. But then everything else is clean, and he didn't really stumble as much as Bart has that stupid climb up he does in the middle of his run. Yeah. Which doesn't. Well,
he gets lost first. Yeah. Then he has the.
And then doesn't look like a parkour person climbing up. He just looks like one of the guys. Let's get a camera guy over here to do this climb up on this course, right? Sorry, Bart.
That's being super harsh, but it's true. It didn't look like he was doing. He wasn't doing.
It didn't look like it was part of his run. It just looked like I need to get back up here, and I forgot what I was doing.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, for execution, I don't know how they're scoring that. I think. Kai, I tried to reach out to Kai and ask him how he scored execution, because I felt like that might have been one of the points, and he said they were pretty close actually. They were a point different between Joey and Bart on his execution score. So then we look at difficulty. Well, we have Gabe Nunez on difficulty, and guess whose teammate is in first place? And I don't know if that's a factor. Again, we don't get to see these scores. Hopefully there's some sort of honor system here, but I really think they need to be careful about who they're putting in judges' seats, particularly when teammates are in competitions. We're free to speculate right now. Mm-hmm. We're free to speculate that, and we have Joey who did what kind of moves did he do in the high difficulty? He does
swing cast
full, double A twist. What else do we got? It's almost like you're just focusing on the whole line as being super. And then we have Bart's highlights, which we already so maybe give Bart higher difficulty, but not by a lot. Yeah. Not based on what he did. Then we also have flow score, which you got to give to Joey over Bart. What else is there? Flow, difficulty, execution, creativity. I don't really know if you give Bart really a higher creativity score.
Because he did a gate vault on the pole. I didn't see it. It doesn't strike me as any more creative than Joey's line. Yeah. So in fact, I would argue that Joey's line was potentially more creative, just because it took creativity to put that line together. Yeah.
They're still pretty close. I don't think it's a complete sweep or a robbery that Joey didn't. I think he definitely should have scored higher than Alfred, just because kind of Alfred threw his run out. Mm-hmm. He kind of almost should have DQ'd himself from the podium.
Yeah. Still give him best trick.
And that's what he came for. But I'm still leaning towards Joey should have been in first place.
Joey's overall impression, I would score much higher than Bart as well, just because it was wow, that was a whole line, and he did there was peaks and of excitement and climaxes and stuff. So whereas Bart's, it was just kind of it didn't have that kind of emotional response that I want to see in a run, and so that's where I wouldn't have any overall impression for that run. I felt like his first run had way higher overall impression.
Right.
I don't know. It's tricky. I think this year after year there's controversy in judging, but not just in art of motion, but I think especially in art of motion.
Right. Well, they have, again, it's all these categories. You got 5 categories. They're all out of 100. Mm-hmm. People are getting upset because it's really they're just looking at they're really looking at two things. They're looking at flow, and looking at difficulty. That creativity score should not be in there. Just as a parkour culture, we're looking at flow, we're looking at difficulty. Creativity is like, it's just, there's so much up to interpretation. It depends, is Annan looking for like who does the most dance moves? Like, we don't know. So like, it's just like, what do you got to do to get that creativity score? It's not really clear. And until it's clear, we don't really have a fair competition for the athletes because they don't know what to prepare for.
Yeah.
Cool. I enjoyed the broadcast.
I really appreciate this dashboard that you can use.
It's pretty awesome
for the video replays. So that's pretty awesome.
Anyways, we got to get out of here. Any final thoughts on the competition? Anything we didn't touch on that you want to mention or look back on?
No, not really. I felt like it was just I enjoyed the process of watching the runs and seeing this competition grow, because that means more people are just interested in competition in general in the sport.
Would you say it was the best Red Bull Automotion?
It was definitely my favorite to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
The one thing that we didn't touch on is look at how many Americans were not just in Art of Motion, but made it into the finals.
Yeah, you have 4 Americans
and 2 on the podium.
In the top 4.
I think that's a really exciting moment in our sport right now. At least as people from North America, we've been shat on for years for by comparison to the European community, and I think it's finally gotten to the point where Americans are being recognized for their skill and their talent.
Yeah, I still think the hate is going to continue because it's going to become more of this Americans are into competitions and doing the competition style and into doing more tricks.
We'll see what happens.
Whereas Europeans is more parkour style. Yet the guy who won is a European who had a more parkour style run. And I think that is actually what we saw a little bit of that last year in Art of Motion, where the judges were, we got guys like Jesse Peveril making it into the top 3. Who got second last year? I'm just trying to remember.
It was Pasha.
Pasha got second. Okay.
And then first was DK.
And then fourth was Alex Shower, who
I felt like he should have been third.
What happened to him?
He got injured.
Okay,
that's why Corey was brought in.
Okay, right on. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of favoring of this more parkour style, realizing we have this long course, and if we're gonna give a flow score, we need to get through it quickly. So be good at parkour. Anyone trying to get into Red Bull next year, be good at parkour. Don't just have tricks, because I think the times are changing. And it's a good thing because we're seeing a better competition because of it.
Agreed.
Cool. All right, guys.
That was fun.
We are not gonna see you too soon. It's gonna be probably another couple weeks before we do another episode because there's not a whole lot to comment on. We definitely had to sit down to break this down. This was a lot of fun. This is what we love to do. So hopefully see you guys sooner than later. Please stay tuned. If you enjoyed this, please leave a comment, give us a like, share it with your friends. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.
2. I gotta go.
Yes.